guys. After a series of events for like the last 2 weeks, we are currently on our way to the Children's Hospital, probably for the 5th time this week, right? For the 4th time in a week. But this time we're going to be admitted. Not really even sure what's going on yet. We've been going through a lot of different issues the last 2 weeks, and it kind of just all came to a head, and we're finally getting in, so hopefully getting some answers. I guess we'll fill you in on more as we find out more.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Johnson.
So the current main reason we are here is due to constipation. There was a journey before that, which I'll get to later, but right now we just got his IV in and we're gonna get him hooked up to fluids and we're gonna give him his first enema. It sounds like they're gonna give that a couple hours to work, and if he doesn't have a bowel movement, then we do another enema and so forth until he does have a bowel movement, and then we'll get an NG tube placed through his nose down to his stomach where they'll do like a high solution Miralax. So we're just basically trying to clear him out from both ends because his last x-ray showed an excessive amount of stool. We just don't know if it's impacted a little bit in there or what, because we've already been to the ER with an enema and that's part of the journey that got us here. So we will cover that soon. Otherwise, Jensen's got his Iron Man fist. Poor buddy.
Okay? Let's just check, yeah. Check for aspirin.
Good morning, friends. What brought us here? Let's go back about 2 weeks. Jensen had pooped probably on like a Thursday or a Friday, and then we struggled all weekend and we had to give him like his Activia, his Bio-Gia drops, his like probiotics, and then Miralax, and then I did an enema at home and he finally pooped. So that was a Sunday, and then Monday he had multiple bowel movements that were really big and he had a great day. And then from there it was like 10 days of Jensen just being very lethargic, like very sleepy, constantly like this. He was sleeping like 10 to 13 hours a night, which is not like him. And then we had lots of naps during the day and he did not want to be playing at all. During that time he wasn't eating or drinking, and I don't even remember, I had to write all this down on my phone, but I don't even remember the first appointment we went to or why. So basically I'm just gonna be popping in here with a lot of different information that I forgot to mention during the making of the video because it was just such a whirlwind of events and I lost track of things. So I was just trying to clear the air here. After about a week of Jensen being super lethargic, I mean, and when I say lethargic, I mean, like I gave him a sternal rub and he did not react to it. He did not wake up. And the only reason I didn't freak out was because when we put him into the bathtub, he would wake up and like enjoy himself in there. It was a Monday that would mark a week of him being like this. So I had contacted his primary care and they got us in later that day. When we went in, she really couldn't chalk up why he was lethargic, but his like intestines kind of sounded slower. So she's like, I think he's constipated, which we were really skeptical about because when these symptoms started was the day after we had given him that enema. He had 3 good poops. So we're like, how is this linked to him being constipated? I didn't understand. So that was a Monday when we went into his primary care in the evening. And then Wednesday is when we decided to go to the ER, which I will get back into right here. I think we went to the Children's Hospital ER. This kid's got me really freaked out. He's never been this lethargic. He's not even fighting anyone. No fevers, not eating, not drinking. He's only had 1 wet diaper today and it was minimally wet. He doesn't even care when they're talking, and he like fights them a little bit when they're doing medical stuff, but like not much. Yeah, let's sit down, baby. I've never been this, it's been a long time since I've been this scared. You're okay, sweet pea. We'll figure it out. I love you. because he only had one wet diaper that day. That's why, because he was very dehydrated from not eating or drinking. But other than doing some labs and getting him an IV, nothing was really done, and he went about like 19 hours without having a wet diaper that night. So when we went to the ER on Wednesday, aside from not having a lot of wet diapers, he did have some labs that were a little off, but they weren't too concerned about them. They just considered following them up. My mom's coming over to take care of Jensen. So we weren't too concerned about those, but they did mention they're like, maybe you want to check in with neurology due to the fact that he is so lethargic, because they knew he's at risk for these seizures. And I'm like, so dumb that I didn't even think about the fact that he is lethargic and how that can be a sign for seizure activity. So I felt so dumb. So on our way home that night from the ER, I MyChart messaged our neurology doctor and just also sent them a video because they wanted a video of anything that might be looking weird with twitching. So I did that. So yeah, we messaged neurology on Wednesday night. So then the very next day, he was feeling a little bit better. He was more himself, eating and drinking, and we're like, oh, yay. And then again, the following day, he was screaming all day. He was in pain. And this is where things really got hairy. On this day, when he was screaming, we didn't know what to do. There's so many decisions that go into trying to figure out what route to take. And we had decided to go to our urgent care, and they tested him from strep, and they did, what else did they do? They tested him for strep and then looked at his ears and tested his urine to make sure it wasn't like a UTI, and all that came back negative. So then we got sent to have an x-ray. So we had the x-ray done. Just waiting for your x-ray, huh? So your strep was negative, urine was negative. Mind you, we started this journey at 9 when they opened the urgent care, and we went to get his x-ray. That took till 11, and we weren't hearing anything. We knew it was gonna be like a couple hours to hear something. We weren't hearing anything.
Did you just use your nose to move your screen on your watch?
And we're at home just listening to Jensen scream. So we were gonna go to our local ER, and on the way there, I was like, hey, let's just stop at the pediatrician's office, because I was trying to call to get through to them and I could not get through to anyone on multiple attempts. So we stopped at the urgent care on the way to the ER, and I talked to the urgent care doctor. She looked at the x-ray. It still hadn't officially come through, and this was 4 hours later. So she said, I'm gonna make a phone call to our GI doctor here. They might be able to clean Jensen out, but it may or may not happen. At this point, it was 3 o'clock on a Friday. So I'm like, okay, is this person really gonna get us in, or do we just sit and wait longer, or do we just go to the ER and try to get Jensen some help now? So we went back home. We were trying to sit on it, but with Jensen crying the way he was, we decided to go to the Children's Hospital ER. So on Friday, when we decided to go to the Children's Hospital ER instead, right when we pulled into the ER parking lot, the local doctor had called us saying that we were gonna be admitted and to get Jensen cleaned out. I was like, hey, we tried to call you. I tried multiple times, couldn't get through, that we ended up going to the Children's Hospital. They asked me like, okay, so you're agreeing to deny getting admitted right now? And I'm like, yes, thank you for going through the trouble, but so sorry that we couldn't wait. In a way, it kind of made me feel bad because we were denying admission for him to get cleaned out locally, but like that they didn't understand where we were coming from. And I'm already beating myself up because it feels like there's so many decisions to be made. I just kept feeling like we kept making the wrong one, and between Josh and I, what we think is wrong and what decisions we should make, and it was just such a toss-up that I was just exhausted trying to figure out what we should do in that moment. Well, this was the first time that we got there, and we weren't brought in right away. They usually have beds, and they were full, so we had to wait in the waiting room. Jensen's screaming. There's a combative patient yelling and using foul language and getting aggressive, so that was fun. Then we were admitted, and we had a provider that was they gave Jensen an enema, and they got him to poop like twice after an hour, which usually it's a lot quicker than that. You okay, baby? It's okay, dude. Just buddy. Got it out of and now we wait.
Knives are sharp. Let a grown-up help so you don't get hurt.
How many hours is this? 15? Saucy. It's okay, baby. Mama, I love you. while we were in the ER on Friday, neurology had called me back from the MyChart message 2 days prior, and they were saying that they looked at the footage. They are concerned about Jensen and how he's acting and the footage that we gave them. They really wanted us to be seen urgently, but not emergently. So they were planning on getting us in the following week. So this night, the ER was very close to having us admitted due to the fact for Jensen's neurology and his constipation. But after some time and Jensen pooping and calling the inpatient hospitalist, they decided that they weren't going to admit us, which was part of our lengthy stay there, in which case the EEG was going to be taking place then the following week. We sat there, I don't even know how long we were there, Josh, like 5 hours? I don't know, it was our longest stay, and they were busy. We'll leave it at that. So we left Friday night, and Saturday, Jensen was great. He was eating, drinking, acting pretty good. Jensen! Jensen! What are you doing? But then again, on Sunday, he just started screaming. Do we just sit here and wait and see if things clear up? But then I didn't want to like go to the urgent care later in the day and then have things take hours to get the ball rolling. Or do we just go address it right now? We decided to address the problem. We went to the urgent care, and that doctor was very much so willing to advocate for us and call the children's hospital, because he's just like, there's not much I can do for you on a Sunday. I can't do a walk-in x-ray outpatient because they don't do that on Sundays. So he's like, basically, I can tell you the normal, which is here's Miralax, take a whole cap full, maybe even up the dose more from that, or I can try to call the children's hospital and just see if they'll admit you, and or if you have to go through the ER to do that. So we felt really silly, because then we went home and Jensen was eating a great lunch and acting his normal goofy self. So we went grocery shopping because we're like, they're not going to admit us. Well, lo and behold, they called us while we were grocery shopping, and that they said we could be admitted if we chose to do so. Again, we felt pretty dumb. Jensen was doing pretty well here at this point, but I said, we've got our foot in the door, let's just go for it. So here we are. So last night they gave Jensen an enema, and it didn't take very long to work, but then nothing since then. And then they put an NG tube into his nose down to his stomach, because they're pumping him full of Miralax to try to get everything out. So when they did that, they did an x-ray to make sure the tube was in his stomach and not in his lungs. And the results from that said that he has like more stool than they were expecting, and that there's an enormous amount of stool in there. So I'm so glad we brought him in to take care of this, and hopefully we can just get to a fresh start. But we have been pumping him full of this Miralax since 9 p.m. It is about 8 a.m. and Jensen still hasn't pooped. I will keep you updated on Jensen, and soon would like to touch base on how much advocating it took to get us here and how exhausting that is. Understatement of the year.
Yeah.
Did you just hear that? Because Jensen just farted. Good morning. Good morning, guys. Good morning, Jensen. So we got to stop his Miralax drip last night. Let's go light to help him poop, and he was pooping clear, which is what we wanted. Pooping clear is like they said a tea-like color, but it legitimately was coming out clear. And he had his EEG done yesterday. If you can't tell by his hair, we have to get all that goop out. But he had a very rough night last night trying to get him down because he was just so overtired. So we're tired, and if you guys have been following me, you know I'm not supposed to be having my caffeine, and that rule really went out the window. But anyway, so Jensen woke up a little fussy this morning, cuddled with Dad for a little bit, and then we put him in his crib and he's been playing and just much more himself. So we're gonna take his NG tube out, and we gave him some stool softener, and now he's drinking some Miralax, and we're hoping to get him onto a normal food diet here, solid diet, soon once the doctor comes in. Oh yeah, Totally forgot about that. So we're waiting for an x-ray just to make sure that there's nothing left in his intestines. We talked to the primary doctor and she said that we'll talk to GI and neurology today. But as far as his GI issues with the constipation, they said it was like an at-home regimen problem, which is hard because we give him probiotics and Activia, but they said just to like, you really have to be strict with it. So we could probably be better at that. So what it sounds like we're gonna have to do is a cap full of Miralax twice a day for about a month with a stool softener. I'm sure we'll continue our Activia and probiotics as well. So, yes, we just need to be a little bit more strict with the dietary part of things, and then we'll learn more about when to taper that off and if we have to like do that forever or what the deal is. Neurology, again, the doctor is like, I'm not the specialist, I'm not the neurologist here, but she did say that his EEG didn't show any actual seizures, but that there were signs of some activity there, which sounds kind of familiar to what we already know. Otherwise, your girl usually overpacks for like a vacay or wherever I'm going, and I underpacked significantly. I've got like goop on my shirt from Jensen's head sticky stuff. I am wearing Josh's pants because Jensen pooped all over all of my clothes and Josh got peed and pooped on multiple times. I was wearing hospital pants for a majority of yesterday. Jensen, this is a side of Jensen I have not shown you, and I don't know if I even got any footage of him doing it, but when he's not feeling good, he gets really aggressive. He scratches, he like grabs you and bites you. Josh has like little bloody marks. Jensen also like play bites, like when he's excited, happy, but this is like, it's very zombie-like. He just like really goes at you. That's what we picture. That's what I picture. He just really lunges for you and goes in for the kill. Otherwise, we're really excited to go home. Just kind of get back into a normal routine, hopefully.
There's a teen center.
Thank you. Yes. Guys, this hospital is amazing. I think I've kind of given you some footage, but like basically you've got like visitor section, there's a little curtain you can pull, and we have our own little TV, and then the patient has their TV, and then even on that, which I didn't utilize until today, they have like movies and just like toddler infant music that we could have been utilizing this whole time. We have our own closet with a lock, a whole refrigerator over here, and even in the bathroom, this is so simple, but like it was so nice to have just these like little spaces for our things when you're staying for days, and some people have to stay longer. It's so nice to have. What else did you say, Josh, that they had? This lovely couch folds out into a bed, but highly recommend bringing your own sheets because they just have the little white sheet that goes over it, and every time you move it just pulls away. And also the pillows are really flat, but like that's to be expected. So if you ever have to stay at a hospital, maybe like bring your own bed sheet and pillow if you want to be comfy. But by the second night, I was so freaking tired that I was out. You say it. You say it. I don't remember what you said.
They have a family center where you can go be away from people when you need a break.
What else?
And a teen center. And a child play area. Because you see kids in the hallway with little tricycles.
Wagons and stuff. Yeah. And they give you a $12 meal voucher. If your family is staying here, you get one a day $12 meal voucher for the cafeteria, which is really nice. And patients eat free.
If you can.
Yeah, if you can eat. Jensen could not eat. Anyway, we'll fill you in on more when we know. One more thing that I totally forgot to mention is the staff. The staff has been phenomenal. They have been amazing, just very accommodating and always so helpful and pleasant. Just so thoughtful with Jensen and just explaining everything they're gonna do, and thoughtful for us, and Josh says they're awesome. But really, I just feel so lucky that we got to stay somewhere that is just so amazing. And I did forget to mention to you, unfortunately, Jensen had to be poked multiple times yesterday. We just could not get a good sample. So the poor kid, I don't know how many times he's been poked, but yeah, anyway. Trying to get all the sticky stuff from his EEG out of his hair. So they gave us some mineral oil and we're just dousing his head. Sorry. And using a fine comb to get some of that out, which is working really well, especially when he has these no-nos on, because he can't grab me. Good job, baby. And he just got his NG tube taken out. She literally just wiped the tape off and then pulled it right out of his nose. Josh really enjoyed that experience. Good job, Jensen. Well, I just heard his tummy go. We're feeding him for the first time since like 2 days. He's eating pumpkin bread, some apple juice.
And you felt poop go down your leg?
Yeah, I'm feeling really warm in my lap. And this is literally the last pair of pants that are Josh's, so I hope it didn't leak through. Yesterday, it literally was like a waterfall and it went under the chair, which was really gross. That's okay, worth it. Is it good? Just trying to leave and just getting attacked by a tickle rhino. Otherwise, guys, we cannot stress enough how exhausting this was. Josh and I both agreed that this was one of the hardest times since having Jensen's diagnosis of being blind. When we were sitting in the waiting room for like the 10th time, that's exaggerating, for the 4th time, and we were watching all these quote unquote normal parents come out with their toddlers that are younger than Jensen and they're walking and talking, we both started to tear up in the waiting room because we just feel like it's just so hard. We both agree that blindness is kind of easy on the grand scheme of things, that him being nonverbal is one of the hardest things because we just have to guess on why he is screaming in pain and guess everything that he needs. So overall, this was just a very exhausting experience of 2 weeks of him not feeling well and kind of having to constantly advocate for him. And lately he's been feeling a lot better and hopefully we're on the right track. All right, guys, as always, please don't forget to hit like, subscribe, comment below. It all helps our YouTube algorithm and our growth. Are you planking? Where's Jensen? Oh, jeez. He's fine. You're so silly.